Hey guys, this is David Downing, ChipMonk co-founder and CEO here at our Houston headquarters. Wanted to talk about the ongoing labor shortage and kind of overall difficulties in the labor market and how, as a small business, ChipMonk has approached it. Let's dive in. Labor market shortage has really impacted ChipMonk from an operational perspective. We have a team of bakers, so we actually bake all of our own products in-house. Just kind of next door to me is our bakery. Here we're kind of in our fulfillment center. Kind of sets us apart, and I really enjoy it because it allows us to produce, really unique stuff. We can do small batch things. We can make sure that we got the quality is right. But it is tough because we have 5 people that we need to bake on a regular basis. And if even one person doesn't show up or we're understaffed and we can't find someone, then the rest of the team really struggles to produce all the cookies that we need. Specifically, we've just had a hard time with hiring people to find kind of qualified candidates that fit our ChipMonk values and just want to work in the bakery environment. It's kept us understaffed, and it's also led to higher turnover. We've seen quite a few bakers come in for maybe a week or even just a few days, and then they'll just leave, sometimes without any notice at all. And that just puts the team in a tough spot, and it's been a real struggle for us. Yeah, it's a really frustrating situation when you bring someone on board and then within a matter of days they just don't show up, or hopefully they at least tell you they're not coming in. A lot of times they don't. And as a small business owner, I know personally I can get really angry in those situations. It just gets really stressful, and it's tough. You kind of question why would someone be doing that? I think there's kind of 2 perspectives or takeaways. I try to focus on more than just my anger when this happens. One is that I don't know what's going on in that person's life, especially now with COVID. We're in the middle of a pandemic. The economy's in a really weird place. Maybe they have a sick family member. Maybe they've got other stresses in their life going on, or other things have come up. I just can't control that, and I don't really expect people to share all those personal things with me on a regular basis. So if they're acting for those reasons, it's best for them to pursue that and kind of move on, even though that could hurt ChipMonk and kind of the team in the long run. The other thing too, I think the kind of takeaway for me is, how do we build an environment and a culture where people do want to stay? And that really starts with that first interview, that first interaction with the person. Is how do we present ourselves as a company and really explain, what we're trying to do. We're not just a cookie company, right? We're trying to actually cut out sugar and provide healthier food alternatives eventually to the entire country, maybe even the world. Literally started in an apartment kitchen with my partner, Jose, 2 years ago, and we've seen so much growth that there's a ton of opportunity here as well. People who join on the baking team might end up leading an entire division of the company in just a year or 2. And I think it's critical to communicate that up front to try and get people excited, so that when they do come in for that job, they're there for the longer term versus just trying to collect that quick money up front. I do also think that kind of setting the rules of the road right up front is really important. It's something that I've failed to do with some of our initial hires, just explaining how important things like communication are. You need to, if you're going to miss a day or you're going to be late, you got to communicate that up front so the team knows. And if you don't, then you're just not a good fit for the team and it's time to move on. I think kind of taking those 2 perspectives and trying to treat every time, every instance where someone leaves unexpectedly or quickly, as a learning opportunity to improve the company and our hiring processes and our team. That's the way to go about it. Though I will honestly say, usually the anger is still there, and it's a very stressful situation. So if you're a small business owner out there going through this, just know you're not alone either. I'm going through the same thing, as are thousands of other folks. And reach out. You can always talk to me too, or talk to other small business owners, and I'm sure I can share some tips and thoughts on it. Yeah, so one of the things we did to help improve our hiring prospects is immediately raise wages and then set a pretty clear schedule for pay increases over time. I'm not sure what the minimum wage in Texas is, but it's probably sub $8. So for us, we hire our bakers at $12.50 an hour right up front. And then we communicate that within 3 months, if you're kind of meeting our expectations and you're still around and doing a great job in the baking team, your pay goes up to $15 an hour. Now, if you exceed expectations within that 3 months, then your pay rate actually would go up faster. And we've had a lot of employees where that's the case. Within that first month, if they demonstrate what we're looking for, then we bump them up right away. Longer term, after 6 6 months to a year, we go up to $17 an hour if you're more of like a senior baker, a senior operator. And then from there, it goes even higher if you start to take on supervisor or manager roles. So that's kind of our pay rate. I think the key is just being really transparent and upfront, explaining that, and being fair, compensating people for their time, and knowing that in the current market, it's just really competitive. And as a small business, you gotta match the competition. Yeah. So other than our wages, we offer quite a few other benefits. Some of them are kind of unique to being a small business or a startup. One of the first things when the labor shortage sort of hit that we implemented, and it's something I wanted to do from the start, I had no administrative experience and didn't really know how to implement it, was a paid time off policy. I personally believe everyone needs to take some time off, whether that's for vacations or just personal reasons. If you just work nonstop for years and years, you will burn out, and it's just not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for the company. And so we implemented a PTO policy where employees get 2 weeks of paid time off plus 6 days for holidays during the year. And then over time, the longer someone's with the company, that PTO allotment goes up. So after a year with the company, it goes up to 3 weeks. After 2 years, it goes up to 4 weeks. And that's been a pretty big benefit. Outside of that, we do have free snacks, drinks. We do a weekly team lunch together on Wednesdays where food's provided, and we all talk through the week and our core values and what we want to focus on for continuous improvement. We also are in the process of setting up an employee equity incentive program. As a startup, there's a lot of upside potential in the value of the company. Right now, Jose and I, we're the founders and owners, so we are benefiting mostly from that. But I want to share that with every employee that walks in the door at ChipMonk and give them the opportunity to earn stock in the company, both right up front, and then over time, the longer they're with us, the more stock they would get. So that way down the road, we ever did something like an IPO or raise money or got acquired, then the employees that helped us get there and put in all that work, build the company up, they also get to benefit from it as well. So yeah, and any company, especially ChipMonk, is absolutely nothing without their employees. One unique thing about us versus a lot of other special brands is we manufacture everything in-house. So right next door is our bakery and kitchen. Every product they buy is made by hand by our amazing team. We also have all of our fulfillment, so like our shipping is done in-house too. All of our online orders get packed up and shipped out via USPS or UPS on a daily basis. That's done in-house. Our customer service, our marketing. We've got a great team. It's about 9 people. Every individual kind of brings their own skill set to the table on a daily basis. My philosophy is usually I'll bring in someone to start at kind of like a base operator type level where we try to give them a role that anyone could really learn. So it could be like baking, right? You're scooping cookies, you're packaging cookies, sealing them, or coming over to the warehouse side and like packing orders, kind of those repetitive tasks. But then over time, leaning into the interests and talents of the employees themselves. So if someone is interested on the marketing front, pushing them to create some content like this, or taking some photos, or working on social media, or maybe someone's more of a people person. So we would have them do some customer service or even outreach efforts to our VI customers, giving them a call, or even work on the sales front, calling some of our wholesale accounts, trying to grow that side of the business. And then on the operations side too, we have a need for real problem solvers, people who can work with our equipment and machinery and figure out how to fix it, or look at our current production process, figure out how to improve it over time, and applying that to supply chain too, looking at our ingredients and figure out how we source the highest quality and lowest cost ingredients so that the company succeed in the long run. All of that really comes down to investing in people and pushing them to grow internally, and providing those opportunities at the company for them to grow as well. So once they demonstrate kind of their passion or their talent or what they're really interested in, just keeping them busy and allowing them to push in those areas so they use their best work. Finding new candidates is a hard part. We mostly use a platform called Indeed.com. So we have job postings, and we kind of explain what the role is and the pay and expectations, put it out there online. People will send in their resume, we'll give them a call, go through an interview process. If they're on the baking team, we'll actually have them do like trial bake and kind of go from there. It can be kind of tough finding the right candidates. I think personal networking is a great source as well. So we usually ask our team too if they know anybody that is interested in working, and probably about half the team at this point do something like that. In terms of what I look for, we do have kind of a set core values here at ChipMonk that I try to apply to kind of the filter process for candidates. But usually for me, I had to pick like 2 things that are most important. One is communication. So like, can the person clearly, and I don't know if I'd say like respectfully, but like level-headedly communicate to me, whether that's what's going on with their job, how to solve or ask questions, solve problems, if there's issues coming up, things like like that, they need to be able to speak not just with me, but the whole team, right? Like if you just come in and you don't say anything to anybody, or if you're not responsive when like calls or texts or emails, then that everything kind of breaks down from there. That's sort of the cornerstone. And then the other big aspect that I look for is kind of like a growth mindset. I want someone who is intellectually curious and they want to learn new things, try new things, and grow. And they want kind of their job be channel for that growth, or at least one of them. Not a huge fan of people who come in and either act like they know it all, and so they're not open to change or learning. As a small company, like change is absolutely like a critical part of everything we do, because on a daily basis, just things have to change, otherwise it falls apart at the seams. And I also just don't really want people who come in and just want to do the exact same thing every single day, because again, maybe there are places where someone like that would be great and they'd be the perfect person for that role. But here at ChipMonk, I mean, just in the past year, we went from like a tiny little shared commercial kitchen where like Jose and I were doing most of the baking and everything, to now we have our own bakery and we've got a big team and equipment, and who knows where it'll be in the next year. So like if you came in last year and kind of wanted to do the same thing over and over again, it just wouldn't work, because all the stuff we're doing now is so different. So that's kind of it. Communication and kind of that growth mindset are what I care most about. I guess the only other comment on the labor shortage is like whenever any company goes through like a crisis, whether that's just like fully external, sort of like what we're going through where the economy is pushing everything in one direction, or it's internal, like something falls apart, it goes wrong, it puts a lot of pressure on underlying issues or cracks that were already there. And so it really comes down to building like a strong foundation for a company. I think ChipMonk is lucked out in that we are so early stage that a lot of the crazy pressures and difficulties going on around us are still like, we can still manage. We're flexible and nimble and we're small, but it's also giving us great learning opportunities to figure out like, how do we build that foundation as a company in terms of the people we hire, the culture we try to focus on, the core values that we encourage. That foundation, if we build it up now and we're smaller, and it's not just this Herculean task of trying to steer the ship when we have say like 100 employees or 1,000 employees, we're setting it up so that next time, say in 10 years, when we have another financial crisis or some kind of pandemic or whatever is the next thing, we'll just be rock solid and we'll be ready to go through it, because the team is just operating kind of at that level. That's kind of the last takeaway for me on that. Thanks for listening to my ramblings on the kind of labor market situation. Please tune in to our channel for some great nutritional recipe advice from my co-founder Jose. And then if you're looking for more small business tips and advice, you can listen in on my videos.